And the way I start my interviews is always to talk, to get the guests to talk about themselves. And I like the guest to go all the way back to childhood. So if you could just tell us the story, the whole story, how you were raised with faith and philosophy, what were you raised with, and then how did you end up where you are today, and everything in between. Okay.
Sure. All right. I was raised Catholic.
Ah.
My dad, my dad was a firm Catholic believer. My mom was not a practicing Catholic, but my dad was. Um, we were educated in Catholic schools, and I was an altar boy when I was young. I had this devotion to God. I loved God. I wanted to be the best person for God. So even being an altar boy, I would go by the church. If I walked by a Catholic church, I would go in and sit down for a couple of minutes, say a prayer, and be thankful for the gifts in my life. So I did that through my elementary schooling. And then for high school, I joined the seminary, the St. Andrew's Seminary in Rochester, New York. I attended the seminary. I wanted to be a priest. I wanted to continue my love and devotion to serve God. But David, when I got into the cemetery, I was
Seminary.
Seminary, yeah. Well, maybe it felt like a cemetery to me. I was the illusion of being a priest. I mean, the way the staff priest treated the students and their personal habits, I decided didn't want to become a priest. I was like, no, I didn't want to be part of this organization that all the priests weren't devoted to God, and they treated all the students with love and respect. I mean, the priests were cursing and smoking and things like that. And so I only lasted a year. In fact, I flunked out my year. Didn't last the year. Continued my high school education in public schools. And then went on, joined the military when I was 18, because in those days you either had to go to college or you got drafted. So I joined the military, and while in the military, I lost sight of my right eye, which to me wasn't a big deal. It was like, okay, I lost sight of my eye. Got out of the military, got married when I was 18. And then when it was about 1971, I had a psychic reading from a friend of my wife's spiritual teacher. She was a metaphysical spiritual teacher. And she gave me a psychic reading. And for an hour. And everything she told me was right on exactly. I mean, it was perfect. She read me like a book. And so I said, how do you do this? And she says, you meditate. So, David, I went home and I started to meditate. This was back in 1972. And as I started to meditate, I was having some unbelievable, profound reactions in my mind, my body. I don't know if you know chakras. Are you aware of chakras, David?
Yeah. I was in the New Age for a long time. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm still in the New Age.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I started having all these feelings in my chakras. I would see my root chakra, beautiful colors in my mind's eye, blues and greens and purples and numbers. I would see numbers. And then during my meditations, I would have sensual feelings in my genitals. And I'm sitting there thinking, listen, I'm not thinking about anything, sexual or anything like that. What's causing these feelings? And then pulsations in my solar plexus, a third chakra. And then eventually I had all my chakras were activated at once. There was a force coming up my arm, a roaring noise in my ear. I took on this rhythmic breathing, like real fast, uncontrollable. It was uncontrollable breathing, like there was a force that came up my left arm into the cavity of my body. And when that happened, with everything going on, the noise in my ears, the breathing, the pulsation in my solar plexus, a brilliant white light came into my mind's eye. It was so brilliant. My eyes are already closed. I'm trying to close my eyes, and I couldn't get away from this light. And then I started to spiral out of my body. I was living on the Chesapeake Bay at the time. And as I spiraled out of my body, I could have gone any place in the universe, but not knowing anything, I just sent out a thought to my teachers, please return me to my body. And before I could finish the thought, I was spiraling back into my body. So that was my first awakening to my spiritual development, true spiritual development, that sensation. I continued my meditation, and then I started to attend these metaphysical classes. I couldn't become a priest, but now I thought, I'll become a metaphysical minister, and I can help people this way. So as I'm meditating one day, it was 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm sitting in my home. I came home from work, and I started to meditate. And my mind's eye opened up like I'm watching you right now, David, crystal clear in my mind, like I'm watching a TV set, and this golden light being appeared to me. The whole background was brilliantly gold. He was dressed in these gold garbs. There's no face, but he had these long gold robes with a golden sash around his waist. And he reached up and he took a necklace off his neck, and it floated from him, and he placed it on my neck. And there was this tingling sensation that went through my body. And I went out and I had a necklace made I thought, I can't forget this. I'll just get this necklace and I'll have it made. And I made a necklace of the symbol that was on it. It's an inverted triangle, like in the Star of David, where one triangle's going up and one triangle's coming down. This was a symbol of the triangle coming down. And so I had a necklace made, and I wear this necklace to remind me of my experience. So then I became a metaphysical minister. And as I was becoming now the appearance from the golden one was probably back in about 1982. I started training for a metaphysical minister in about 1984. And during my training, in the middle of the night, 3 12-foot beings dressed up like monks appeared to me in my dream state. And the one in the middle said, we are going to teach you about thoughts. And so I said, I go, okay. And we flew someplace. I remember flying through the ethers, and we went into a wine cellar. And the 3 of them are standing in the well, and one end of the wine cellar, and the tall one in the middle, they were all tall, turned to me and he says, we're going to teach you the power of thoughts. And he says, I'm going to have the other 2 move a wine cask from the bottom shelf to the top shelf. And he says, watch. So they were way at the other end of the wine cellar. And I couldn't hear anything then. And I observed that he was, I guess, telepathically telling them to move the wine cask from the bottom shelf to the top shelf. Then he turned back to me and he said, that's the power of thoughts. So I woke up the next morning thinking, wow, that was pretty cool. So not really understanding what it meant, but just knew that thoughts were powerful. So I finished my training as a metaphysical minister, and I started teaching meditation classes out of my home. And I did this for about 20 years. And during my meditation practices, teachings, I became a Reiki master. And I was guided to become a Reiki master. Everything in my life appears to be guided, David. It's like I'm guided to do things, and I follow my intuition of what to do and what not to do. So I did this for 20 years, and I became a Reiki master. And then I moved to a location where I used to be a runner. I used to run 3 times a week. six miles during the week and then 12 miles on the weekend. And so I moved to a location where I couldn't run anymore. So I says, I need to do something for exercise. So I says, okay, I'll start doing yoga. So I took up Kundalini yoga. I think I had a Kundalini experience of what happened, activating the Kundalini in my body, which I later found out as what happened to me. And I says, I'll do Kundalini yoga. So I did Kundalini yoga in my basement for a year. And this was in 2007. And then I went ahead and I went to Hawaii and trained for a month to be certified as a Kundalini yoga instructor. So I did that to get to, I don't know why, I guess it just gave me credentials for where I am now. But then back in 1999, I came home from work one day and it was 9:30 at night. And my teachers at the time, who I didn't know who they were, I refer to them as the White Brotherhood, is who I refer to my teachers. So if I talked to them and they would teach me, when I was younger, I would read books about the White Brotherhood. And I assumed that's who my teachers were, so I just referred to them as my White Brotherhood. So they recommended that I take a trip, a vacation, and go visit a shaman. So I got on the internet at 9:30 at night. I looked up shamans, found a shaman in Peru, and signed up for in December, middle of December, late December, to visit the shamans in Peru. And it took me like 15 minutes to sign up. So I did that. And then in December, I took the journey to Peru. I went to Peru, Lima, Peru, and then had to take another trip to Quito, Peru, where the shaman met us at the airport. There were 16 of us, and we got on a boat, and we went down the river. I think it's the Amazon River. We went down maybe about a mile, and then we took a little stream going into the jungle. And this probably took about 20 minutes. So we get to this place in the jungle where there's maybe about a dozen bamboo huts, no electricity, no running water. They had a water tower that they used, but no running water. And as we were getting off the boat, one of the other members of the boat said to Howard was the shaman. Howard, he was from Peru. He was an American, but he was a botanist. And he came to Peru to study plant medicine. And so one of the members said, Howard, when are we going to drink? When are we going to drink the ayahuasca? And I go, drink the what? I couldn't even pronounce it, David, the word the ayahuasca. I never heard of it before. And they go, yeah, we came here to drink the ayahuasca. I kind of thought at the moment that my teachers were laughing that they got me in the middle of the jungle of Peru to go through a 10-day ceremony of drinking the ayahuasca. The ayahuasca, we drank the ayahuasca 4 times, and then we had a one drinking of a drink called the wachumi, which is from a cactus. I don't know if you know anything about the ayahuasca.
Yeah, I've never tried it, but I've got plenty of friends who have, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, we started the ceremony at 9 o'clock at night, dressed in white, sitting on rocking chairs with a bucket in front of us in case we got ill. We drink the ayahuasca. One by one, we'd go up, drink the ayahuasca, sit down, and 20 minutes later, the ayahuasca would have an effect in the body. And the ceremony went from 9 to about 3 in the morning. The first 3 hours was you experience the ayahuasca. It would take you someplace, and basically it comes out to be that it's a healing of maybe things at your cellular level in the body that needs to be purged or cleansed. And then the last half of it is where you get a blessing from the goddess ayahuasca, where she gives you a message. And so the first message I had, and I didn't tell anybody this there, is I was thinking about, is Earth a prison, or did we choose to come to Earth? And that was one thing. That was my first thought. And my other thought I was working on at the time, because I was always developing myself with different spiritual and techniques and practices. I was interested in Tantra. So the first vision I get is they show me like a TV screen, like in front of me in my mind's eye, a TV screen, me sitting in a throne. I'm in royal robes. I have a crown on my head. I have a staff in my left hand. I have a scepter in my right hand. And I'm sitting there. And in front of me is like the universe, all the stars of the universe. And the hand of God comes across my vision, the thumb up and the finger, and it points to a little light in the lower right-hand corner. And in my mind, I hear choice. So it told me that I chose to come to Earth. That was what I chose to do. So I thought, okay, that was pretty good. And then the next vision related to it was a naked man, and then it was a naked woman. And it showed me that the man was naked and he had an erection. And when he maintained the erection, his crown chakra was activated. And the female, as long as he maintained the erection, all the chakras in the female were activated, from the root chakra to the crown chakra. So basically, they were telling me that when a man and a woman comes together in a sexual relationship, it's a spiritual event. They're activating their chakras, and it ought to be a spiritual event. All right, I know that some people don't approach it like that, but it's a spiritual event within a life of a soul. So that was fine with me, and I continued taking the ayahuasca for the next 5 years, because I had a lot of teachings that happened to me during the ayahuasca that I just filed these teachings away within me, thinking, "Oh, this is interesting, this is interesting, this is interesting, okay. They were all pieces of a puzzle, never really completely put together until I was in Sydney, Australia in 2012, and I'm at a spiritual conference, and Thoth came through. And Thoth is an Egyptian god of Egypt, and he came through and he channeled a healing to remove fears and unhealthy feelings from the body. And in you have a conscious mind, and your conscious mind only holds one thought at a time. That's all it can hold. And then what the conscious mind determines is a truth. If it's a truth, it goes into your subconscious mind. And sometimes we're fooled to think something is true and it's not true. And we file these fears and unhealthy feelings into our subconscious mind, thinking that they are true, but they're not true. So Thoth was teaching us how to remove these unhealthy feelings. Well, during one of my visions back in 2004, during the ayahuasca, I was given a vision of a light body of a soul that was consisted of golden filaments of light that outlined the entire body, and then these filaments crisscrossed within the body. But on some of these filaments was a black glob, and that these black globs were here and here and here and here, and it prevented the strands of the filaments to vibrate. So when Thoth came through and gave us this teaching, I related it to the golden light beings, and that these fears and unhealthy feelings were on the soul's light body. And so I took this home and I started working with it. And any unhealthy feeling or thought I had, or fear I had, I would use this prayer, and I would remove it immediately. It would come off my subconscious mind. Well, during my meditation, I was visited by beings from the seventh dimensions who are Archerians. And they told me that all unhealthy feelings, fears, and unhealthy thoughts and feelings are parasites. And they're organisms that can interfere, they're in your subconscious mind, and they can interfere with the thinking of the conscious mind. So if you were to remove one of these fears or want to attempt to, they would attempt you to convince you that the fear is not really harmful. It doesn't hurt you. If you're afraid of heights, you probably don't go up high that long. So it's putting this reasoning in your mind why you should not remove these fears. And so you have to work through it because you don't want these fears and unhealthy feelings prevent the soul from vibrating at their highest potentials. So I start using this, and on my website, I relate to this is the prayer to remove emotional parasites. Now, all we're created in the image and likeness of God. All of God's characteristics are embedded in the soul's light body. And so what's embedded, these characteristics are in their raw form. So for example, like God is patience. Well, we have that emotion in our subconscious as impatience. And what we have to do is we have to discipline and master each emotion. And what happens is during the emotional process of disciplining this, or when the emotion is activated, it has control of the soul. The person that is angry thinks the anger is him. It's not. It's the activation of these raw emotions. And what the soul has to do is learn to discipline and master this is motion of anger. And what it does, if he disciplines this, and I was shown this also in an ayahuasca drinking, that the emotion takes a path from the solar plexus through the nerve pathways, one of the thousands of nerve pathways from the solar plexus to the brain. It has to find the right nerve pathway to the brain where it's converted into a God feeling. Now, during the process of traveling, of activating this emotion and its journey, it causes frustration and anger in the body. And the soul doesn't realize that it's not him. It's this raw emotion trying to reach to the brain, but it's activated, and the emotion is being frustrated because it's searching all these different nerve pathways, can't find the right one, and it creates this energy within the soul that feels like a frustration. And this is what causes the soul to release this anger. And when the soul releases the anger, it stops the search of that emotion getting to the brain. And so the best thing you have to do, and this is what I had to endure during twice in my teachings, is just sit there and let this. It's an egg. During one of my drinkings, David, it started out, and I had, as the ceremony started, I'm sitting there, and I have this agonizing feeling in my body. It is the most uncomfortable, agonizing feeling. And I'm sitting there, I'm saying, I'm not thinking of anything. I'm not thinking of anything evil, or there's nothing in my visions. Why am I feeling this agonizing feeling? And I had to sit there for an hour and a half to 2 hours with this feeling just permeating through my body. And so the next day at breakfast, we share with the shaman what we felt. And I told Howard, the shaman, I said, Howard, I read about Jesus in the agony of the garden. I said, I never knew what agony was, but what I felt last night in the drinking, to me, felt like pure agony. And I said, I don't know if I have to feel that again. I don't know if I could drink this again or not. But during the day, I convinced myself that it probably wouldn't happen again, and I went ahead and continued drinking the ayahuasca. So this is what our soul has to do. Instead of releasing these frustrating feelings, they need to sit down and just allow that emotion to find the right pathway to the brain to control it. It's an agonizing feeling. But over time, over many incarnations, the soul eventually learns to discipline these raw emotions, disciplining them and mastering them and turning them into God feelings. Now, moving on to October of 2012, I'm in southern New Zealand. I'm in meditation. And I'm in meditation, and I've had many visitations through my spiritual life. I was visited by these 12-foot beings, by Thoth, by the angel of death. I've had an out-of-body experience. I've astral traveled while drinking the Wachumi in Peru and meeting people from another dimensions or another area. And so a group of these spiritual beings, I didn't see them, I just felt their presence. And in my mind's eye, they were coming from the left. And I said, "Who are you?" And they said, "We come to join your meditation." So I says, "Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Bless you." And I continued. Well, what I didn't know is that I returned to the United States in 2013, 3 months later. I'm alone in upstate New York, 3:30 in the morning, doing my Kundalini yoga practice. And I'm talking to my teachers, and they start, they talk to me. They talk to me all the time. And that's a technique they taught me back in 1983, how to do this. So I talked to them, they talked to me. And a couple of days later, they wake me up at 2:30 in the morning, and they said, "Go to the computer and write whatever you hear." So I go to my computer, and whatever I heard in my mind, I just typed. And at the end of typing, it was probably about a page and a half. I read it, and I said, well, I can't put my name to this. This is not my work. I said, "How should I sign it?" And they said, "Sign it, the golden ones." So that was the first time that my teachers formally introduced themselves to me as the golden ones. And who the golden ones are, they are co-creator gods that are the administrators of Earth Spiritual Training School. Earth is a spiritual training school sanctioned by the Galactic Council, and the golden ones are the administrators of this school. And a soul will come here. A soul has many incarnations in other solar systems in the Milky Way galaxies. They go from one solar system to another solar system to another solar systems, because each solar system of one of the 400 billion solar systems in the Milky Way galaxy, some of them each have a characteristic of God that the soul will learn to master during that solar system. So in other words, if you go to the solar system of the Lion Man, you learn courage. And once you master that God characteristic of courage, then at the end of that carnation, you'll join with the co-creator gods of that solar system, and they decide what solar system you go next for your soul development. And so you go from solar system to solar system, always reincarnating. But what's so special about coming to the Earth Spiritual Training School is that once you master this school, your body ascends to the next level of spiritual development. Now, what happens is you have a light body. And when the soul incarnates into, we'll just take this Earth training school. When the soul incarnates into this Earth training school, his light body becomes the physical body. And whatever the soul learns or masters or disciplines in that carnation of the soul at the time of death, all those things that the soul learned and disciplined and mastered is in the light body, and then between carnations, the soul will negotiate with the co-creator gods and saying, all right, what's my next lesson? And do I come in? Do I reincarnate as a male, as a female? In what culture, what nationality, what religion, what practice, and so forth. So that's all negotiated. And then when the soul returns and incarnates, whatever they have learned from their previous carnation is now put into the new physical body. Now, this includes any karma abusiveness that a soul has done in his previous lives. And this is why there's birth defects and afflictions in the soul. As the soul ages or develops, he's carrying over at the cellular level within the physical body these karmic abusive actions that he created previously that he has to pay for through life experiences. Now, my teachers have told me there's no such thing as sin. Sin is karma is your sin. And the only time you create a sin is when you abuse one of God's kingdoms. And the God's kingdoms is the kingdom of man, the mammal kingdom, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the insect kingdom, the animal kingdom, and so forth. So if you abuse any one of God's kingdoms, then the universal law of cause and effect will create a karmic experience, a karmic energy in the soul's physical body that at some point in the future, the soul has to pay back this life experience when the soul is spiritually comprehending what they have done previously, and they can accept the karmic life experiences because they know it's a lesson in learning truth and wisdom and releasing any past karmic debt. So I have debts, let's see, karmic debts, that's in the body. So my teachers have started channeling their information to me. And I used to meditate all the time. And then back in 1983, while becoming a metaphysical minister, my teachers taught me a technique to train the brain and the consciousness to be consciously aware in every moment of my thoughts. And what it was, it's a 28-day exercise where you put, it's on my website, free on my website. It's a 28-day teaching called the Ascension Master Program. And basically it teaches you to put something on your finger, ring on your finger. And when you notice the ring on your finger throughout the day, just stop and think, what am I thinking about? And if the thought is not loving and uplifting and positive and encouraging, that's fine. But if it was judgmental or negative or unhealthy, remove that feeling with the prayer to remove emotional parasites and take that feeling off your subconscious mind. So basically, that's what the technique is. But back in the day in 1983, I didn't have the prayer to remove emotional parasites. I had to use willpower to get rid of the negative thoughts and feelings that I endure and to get me through. But it did teach me to pay attention to my thoughts. And so you basically, people would refer to it as becoming intuitive or psychic. I just find that I call it the God frequency, where the God frequency is like on a radio station. It's the largest frequency, the loudest frequency, that when you learn to attune to it and adjust to it, you hear it all the time. So if my teachers want to tell me something, I hear it. And the only time I really had to sit down and meditate is when I need a serious conversation with my teachers. And I have to tell them, listen, I'm here to do the work for the universe. I'm here. This is not working in my life. What do I do? And, it doesn't happen too often. But most of the time, I have a very harmonious, perfect life. I'm thankful for what I have, my wife, my home, my finances, my classes, my website, the website, not mine, my relationship to the golden ones, my relationships to angels and archangels. And that brings me to that this Earth Training School is a free will universe training school where the soul has the free will through life experiences to trial and error to see what works and what doesn't work. Now, in his trial and error, he's not committing sin. He's just looking to see, is this good? Do I need this? Does my soul and body feel this is healthy? And if so, then he will embrace it. But if not, then he just moves on. He doesn't commit a sin through trial and error, only when he abuses God's kingdoms. So the soul has free wills, but the soul also has a spiritual teacher and a guardian angel. Now, since the soul has free will, the teacher, the spiritual teacher, and the guardian angel cannot interfere with the thinking of the soul unless the soul asks the angel and his teacher for guidance. Once you ask for guidance, then they're allowed to come in and to assist you. So that's what I do every night before I go to sleep. As I'm laying to go to sleep, I'll ask my guardian angels for pleasant dreams. And if the message they have for me, give me a message in my dream. And in my dreams, they'll give me like a 3-digit number. And there's websites that you go through for, it's called angel numbers. And you take that number and you look it up, and it's basically a message that your angels are giving to you. And I started this about 3 years ago. And you don't get a message every night. But when you do get a message, let's say you go to a gas station and you fill up your gas and your gas costs $5.62. Well, then, if you remember that number in the morning, you look up 562 to see what message it is that your angels want you to be aware of, and so forth. And then for my spiritual teachers, I just listen. If I have situations, I ask them, what do I do? And I'll get a guidance. Do this, do that. Don't do this yet. And usually, if I have a concern about a situation, for example, David, let's say that I had a thought, will I meet with David tomorrow morning? Will everything be okay? I'll get a message saying all is well. When they tell me all is well, I know that whatever happens is okay. So my website is www.thepathtowoneness.com. And everything that's on the website is channeled by the Golden Ones. And most of everything on there is free. Social media has started to block me from putting these free videos up. So what I've been guided to do is do a membership program. So I've taken all my previous YouTube videos and I converted them to MP3s. There's probably over 150 of them. I put them on the website. They're free if you're a member. And if you're not a member, then the video will cost you $3. I put a price on it to encourage people to become a member. Now, if you're a member of the website, I put out a teaching twice a month on the new moon and the full moon. And the teaching relates to the chronological order of a soul from the time it was incarnate to where it's going, to its ascension, and what the soul has to become aware of the activation of these raw emotion God characteristics, where the soul came from, how does the conscious mind work, how does the subconscious mind work, what are chakras, why are they in the body, what's the purpose of the DNA, what's the purpose of the blood, where did the positive old blood come from, what's so special about the DNA, this DNA in this Earth Spiritual Training School that souls have to come here to get this crystalline engineered DNA that was implanted on this earth. I don't know if you know of the story in the Bible. I think it's Genesis 6.4, where the Son of God's come to earth and mated with the women of earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the purpose of that coming is when they mated with the women of earth, the offsprings were embedded with this new crystalline DNA and with the blood O type at the time, so that those souls that incarnated has the new DNA that allows them to, at the time of ascension, once you come here, you can't leave until you've mastered all your God characteristics, mastered them and disciplined them to move to the next level of soul development. Now, Jesus is the only person that we have recollection of or example of that has done this, that has mastered his life and moved to the next level of soul development. And Jesus said, the things I do, you will do, but even greater. And when he prayed to our Father, not my Father, but our Father. So Jesus is the example of what we need to do to ascend to the next level of soul development.
Yeah. So how long have you been living in China now?
10 years.
10 years. Wow. Just a couple of cultural questions. Do you speak the language? Do you like the food? Is it expensive? What's it like living in China?
China is one of the most religious countries in the world. I've traveled to, oh my God, so many countries, 6 continents. And I came to China because my teachers told me to come to China. They told me to come to China in May of 2014. And I arrived here on May 29th, 2014. And my money, my credit cards didn't work. Nothing worked for me, but I was guided to be who I meant. They took care of me and so forth and so forth. The food in China is all natural food. The farmers, I could go to the farmer's market right now, and there'll be 20 different mushrooms, 15 different vegetables, different fruits, seafood, beef, lamb, pork, anything you want in this market. The people are very honest, very truthful. They don't practice any religion except they respect Buddha, all right? And they don't go to church. The Catholic Church attempts to organize here, and there may be some people in the church, but normally most people don't. The parents are family oriented. Everyone's family oriented. The grandparents may live with the parents if both parents will work, and then the grandparents will take care of the children. Schooling is very important to the family. The child has to be educated, not only in their teachings, but in musically, piano, violin, gymnastics. There's something, whatever the child is drawn to, or the parents will say, you're going to learn the piano, you're going to learn the violin, you're going to learn this. And they start them off at an early age, the age 5 and 6, and the child will play an instrument. By the time he's 10, not 10, probably going into high school, they're in the highest degree of playing both the piano and the violin. Very talented children. Now, my role here, I teach English.
Ah.
I didn't start to teach English. The parents found out that I was an American living here and that I spoke English, and they begged me to teach their child English. And so, David, when I started off, I was I didn't know anything about English. I mean, I spoke it. But since then, I became a very good English teacher. I have all types of tools for the kids at all ages, cartoons, video educational cartoons, teaching the ABCs, the colors, the shapes. I've developed my a phonic program to teach them the pronunciation of the English words and so forth. And usually my younger ones in the 2nd and 3rd grade, they just listen, and I'll ask them questions simple questions just to get them to listen to English and think about it, to respond in English. But my older kids, the kids that are in high school, they come just to speak English and listen to English because they don't get it anyplace else except, coming to me and so forth.
You have an accent, right, from the States? Like, what kind of accent is that?
Upstate New York.
Ah, that's a strong accent.
Right across from Toronto, Rochester, New York.
That's quite the accent. So I wonder if your Chinese students, if they start young with you, if they pick up that upstate New York accent, that would be funny.
No, they don't.
They don't.
I have one student. She's in the 8th grade. I've had her since she was in the 1st grade. And when she moved to southern China, and she still maintains classes with me twice a week. We do it over the computer. And when she went to school, her English was so good, they asked her, "Where did you get your American accent, your American English?" And she said, "Oh, I have a friend that I play with." But they're amazed at her English. They say your English is very American and very good, which it is. She is very good American English, very good English.
Do Chinese people have the same sense of humor or a different sense of humor from Western people?
My little kids are so funny. They like to play games. I can play with them. I can joke with them. The older ones that understand my sense of humor, they'll show me their sense of humor, and we talk and we exchange stories and what's going on in their life, what their problems are, and so forth. And what I do with it, David, what I do with my students, when they reach the age of 12 or 13, I'll ask them if they have any fears in their life. And some will say dreams bother them. And some will say they're afraid of snakes or afraid of spiders or something like that. And then I teach them the prayer to remove emotional parasites. I ask them, I say, "You have this fear. Would you like to remove it?" And they'll say yes. And so I'll demonstrate it to them. They'll do it. And then it says, "Are you still afraid?" And they'll say, "No, it's gone." And so the kids that come to me, they're guided to come to me to remove something from them, as well as learning English. So if the student doesn't have any fears or anything like that, then I don't try to teach them anything, or I concentrate on their English and their pronunciation and their comprehension of the word.
Very cool. So unfortunately, I have to wrap it up here. I have to let you go. But your day's just beginning. My day's winding down here. But it's early morning there, so I'll let you get on with your day. But it's been nice meeting you, and I'll be praying for you and yours, and hopefully you'll send me good vibes or whatever it is you do from your perspective. And we'll see each other around on Podmatch. That's where we met, on Podmatch, right?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good, David.
Tim,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon.
Namaste.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Visit us at www.thepathtooneness.com. Join the membership program for all the latest teachings from the Golden Ones. Visit us on Facebook and LinkedIn at thepathtooneness.com.